the head football coach at the University of Oklahoma, Lincoln Riley. Take it away, Coach.
All right, thanks, Chris. Hope everybody's doing well. Excited here after the bye week to get back to it. Had a very productive bye week. I thought the players handled it very well. Excited about some of the work and being able to keep some of these players on the field and being able to have some continuity and build up some skills and just have some consistency as far as practice goes. So it's been certainly, I think, a positive for our team and the development of all of our players. And so, excited to put some of those things on display, hopefully here this Saturday in Fort Worth. Go play a good TCU team. We know, obviously, these guys very well. Great coaching staff, both offensively and defensively. Certainly one of the best coaching staffs in the country, guys that we have a lot of respect for. A lot of tremendous players on both sides of the football. A lot of guys that are returning players. Offensively, very I'd say very TCU-like skill set. Quarterback's really improved, does a lot of good things, very difficult to defend, both running, scrambling, and I think a much improved thrower. A lot of elite skill guys around them, guys that can really, really run, which has been, I think, their identity offensively for a long time. Defensively, good like they always are. The two safeties are really good players. The inside linebacker's a really good player. They've got several kind of young / new guys stepping up around them and doing a good job of running Coach Patterson's system. So it'll be a good challenge, always is. Playing these guys, whether it's in Norman or Fort Worth, always has been a big challenge, and I'm sure this one will be as well, and we'll be looking forward to getting down to Fort Worth.
Coach, we'll go to questions. We'll begin with Ryan Aber of the Oklahoman and then go to Eric Bailey.
Yeah, Lincoln, when you look at the numbers, the fourth quarter, especially when compared to the first quarter, the difference is pretty staggering there. What do you attribute to outside of just, hey, we need to play better and perform? Is it a strength and conditioning issue? Is it a adjustment issue? And how do you sort of work to fix that?
I don't think it's a strength and conditioning issue. I think the only game that we were really tired at the end, I thought our front got pretty worn down against Texas. But I think every football player on the field was pretty worn down with the intensity and it was a pretty hot day in Dallas. Both teams missing, several guys. So I thought that showed up there. No, haven't been able to attribute it to anything strength and conditioning wise. I think it's us maintaining our focus. We've had some major errors in some of these fourth quarters that have kept us from winning ball games or being able to separate even further. And, that's obviously has hurt us as a team. And it's been something that we're trying to push forward because, like many of you, we see, moments of some really promising football on all sides. And putting that together is the hardest thing in football. I mean, it just is. And so, we see it. We're addressing it, emphasizing it as much as we can, but it just comes down to we've got to play cleaner football and our brand of football at the end. And I think we've had some opportunities to close out games. And at times your mentality does shift a little bit to, whether it's, running the football offensively, whether it's, trying to get to the point where you don't give up just a huge play defensively because you start to play the percentages a little bit. And, and through the years, how many games since 2015 have we won where, slowing down the game offensively or again, just limiting them to short completions defensively. I mean, we've won a lot of games that way. And, but you still, whatever the mindset is in that moment, you still have to do it well. And that's probably been the thing for us as we've put ourselves in some decent situations and we've got to execute in those situations much better. We've got to coach better in those situations.
Thanks, Lincoln.
Mm-hmm.
Eric Bailey of the Tulsa World and then Joe Bettner.
Hey, Lincoln, when we look at your run game numbers in terms of yards per carry, they've really dipped substantially this season compared to years past. After 4 games, where do you see the run game at right now, and what is the biggest factor in trying to improve those numbers?
It's progressed. It's it certainly wasn't very good the first 2 games, I really think on anybody's account. I thought against Iowa State we were quite a bit cleaner up front, did some really good things up front in the run game. I didn't think the running back position played too well there. I thought I missed a couple things call-wise that didn't put our guys in great position. And I thought we took some steps last week, had some more explosive runs, although we left still too many on the table, but had more explosive runs. I think backs are starting to get a little bit more comfortable, get seasoned. I mean, these backs we're playing with haven't played a whole lot of football. And so they're learning on the fly and they're getting better. They're getting more comfortable. They're getting more confident. And so excited to see. I think that's a group that could really break out and that we expect to and have seen some real positive signs of. But it takes everybody. And so we got to be a little bit cleaner in the blocking game. That's not just the linemen, that's the receivers too. And then backs have got to finish. And you got to run the ball great. You either got to have just an unbelievable effort by one person or more than likely and most normally is great execution across the board and no leakage. And that's something we have to do better at this next stretch of games.
Thanks, Lincoln.
Joe Bettner, Norman Transcript, and then Jason Kersey.
Lincoln, curious what you make of what Austin Stogner has been able to do kind of early in the season, being your leading receiver. It's not unprecedented as an H-back in your offense, but what do you make of just kind of the added responsibility he's taken on and how he's been able to, I guess, be an important cog to that passing game?
Yeah, Stogner's done a good job. He's, really improved a lot. It's not a surprise that he's having a big impact, not certainly to the people within the program. We've seen how the guy's worked and how he's improved since the first year. And he's always been a guy that's been very eager. He was eager to play more and more and more last year and got more and more ready as time went on, but wasn't, I think, we identified things that he had to take some steps on to become a, potential every down type player. And I give the kid credit. He's taken those things and he's run with them. He's really improved himself, worked on the weaknesses in his game. And then I think, the guy makes a lot of plays. And so I think our quarterbacks have a tremendous amount of confidence in him.
Thanks, Lincoln.
Okay, Jason Kersey of The Athletic, and then Bob Prisbillo.
Yeah, Lincoln. Drake Stoops obviously is making a big impact for you guys this year. It seems like his catches, he really makes tough competitive catches. Is that something that you saw from him when you were recruiting him, I guess, or is that something that he's developed?
Oh yeah, we identified that. I can remember him coming to one of our summer camps, and it was a camp where we had some pretty good DBs in the camp, and you saw creative route running and ability to separate, and then a toughness and a competitiveness to make those types of plays. And no, I think he's very reliable. Another guy that our quarterbacks have a lot of trust in, that he's gonna be where he's supposed to be. He's gonna run the route the way it's supposed to be run. He's gonna make the tough catch in traffic, and you can see we went to him in some pretty crucial times, whether it's the 4th down conversion against Iowa State or obviously, the other day against Texas, the big one there at the end. So, it's been fun to see. He's really busted his tail here, had to work and earn everything that he's got. But, he's really taken this opportunity right now and just been totally prepared for it.
Thanks, Lincoln.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Bob Prisbillo with Sooner Scoop, and then Chandler Engelbrecht.
Yeah, Lincoln, how close is Jayden Hazelwood to coming back, and how much does it help the way that he's stayed engaged throughout this entire process?
He's closer. He's doing very well. He's well ahead of schedule. I don't want to promise anything right now, but we're optimistic. He's done a great job. You kind of lay out your dream scenario of how you want a young man to handle an injury like this, and this is the blueprint for how you do it. He had one day right after it happened where he was in the dumps and down, and then after that he said, all right, that's over. It's time to go get ready now. And he has been our training staff can't say enough about the job that he's done with them, and just kind of attacks everything. And And then, yeah, I think so much of this too is, I mean, the physical side's part of it, your rehab, your quality of the doctor, quality of, the rehabilitory equipment that you have, all that. But there's also the mental side of it. And I think he's a great example for, even when something doesn't go your way personally, when you stay engaged with the team, you continue to bring energy to what you can do that day, even though maybe it's not what you dreamt that you would be doing, that you're going to be in a much better place mentally than maybe somebody that just, poor me the entire time. And he's done that. I mean, he's been completely engaged, ton of energy. And I think it's helped our team, and I think it's certainly helped him through the recovery of a very tough injury.
Okay, Chandler Engelbrecht with the OU Daily, and then John Hoover.
Coach, one of your more reliable pieces on an offense this season that's very young has been Jeremiah Hall and what he brings to the table. He has a few touchdowns on the year, and he also had a big fumble recovery against Texas. Can you speak about his leadership and really the experience he brings to a team that is so young?
Yeah, Jeremiah's done a great job. He has. He's been very, very dependable for us. Been a guy we can count on to do so many things, and I think has improved in a lot of areas of his game as well. And so, no, he's been great for us. He has. He's that's an important position, and that combination of him and Stog right now has been very, very productive. So we just it's. He's a lot like Dimitri Flowers was, in that he knows our offense so well, and is such a smart player, savvy player, doesn't need a million reps to pick something up. And at that position, because we ask those guys to do quite a few things, that's been very, very valuable. So, his big game experience, his leadership, his versatility are very important for our team.
Okay, John Hoover with SI Sooners, and then James Hale.
Hey, Lincoln, if you think about how much football has changed kind of in the last 20 years, why do you think Gary Patterson has remained so successful at holding on to the tenets of defense like he has? Because even as the spread has literally changed the face of football, you've got Gary's teams who are still playing defense kind of like they did 20 years ago. And that's obviously not something every team can say.
Yeah, no, it's impressive. I mean, I think he's got a lot of things in place. I mean, I think they've got a type of player that they identify and go recruit and develop. And he knows exactly what he's looking for within his system. Everybody knows exactly what he's looking for. And I think the continuity of obviously him being there and several members of that staff for a long time is apparent. I think he's done a good job, in my opinion, of sticking to his core principles, but he certainly has adapted to. I mean, there's some things that he's doing now defensively that I don't think he would ever even thought about doing 10 years ago. So he's been kind of right on the line to, in my opinion, where you want to be. You got like core base package, fundamentals, philosophy that you believe in, but not so rigid that you don't adapt as the game does evolve. And he's I think found a great balance. And then I mean, the guy's a good coach. I mean, you could tell the players are well coached. You could tell they know, where to be, what to do. And, that's a reflection of him and his staff.
Cool. Thank you.
James Hale with KREF, and then Brandon Drum.
Lincoln, you mentioned last week that Chris Murray is going to be available for you, and you hope to get him up to speed and get him going. What was his progress like through the off week, and your thoughts on the offensive line going into this game, which you've said, there's such a high standard, they need to play a little bit better. Your thoughts on them going into the TCU game?
Yeah, no, it's thought we did a lot of good things a couple of weeks ago, and have certainly tried to build on that here this week. And having, Chris has been great, and I think we've got several guys kind of in that next tier group that are if not ready, very close to being ready to contribute on Saturdays for us, which is a good thing. Our depth is in a much better place. Our competitive depth is in a much better place. And so I think that's, that not only helps you from a depth perspective, but also just continues to push everybody that's playing, and guys have got to go play well and earn their time. And that's how you want it in every group all the time. And I don't know that we necessarily had as much of that last year as we're used to having, but I feel like we're getting back closer to, who we want to be up front. So, and I think those guys, some of those older guys have done a nice job. Again, proud of the way those guys played against Texas, and we've pushed them to take it even to another level this week, and against a TCU front that's always good, always active, always tough to figure out. So, those guys need to lead us, and they did a good job of it. We need that to continue to improve.
Thanks, Lincoln.
Brandon Drum with OU Insider, and then Garen Emig.
Hey, Lincoln, can you talk about just the growth between week 1 through week 4 of this team, obviously with it being young? And then have you noticed some guys that are younger that have grown as far as leaders throughout this season that maybe you didn't even think was going to happen this early on?
Yeah, no, there's been a ton of growth. I mean, the off season from, again, we've all said a million times, but the no spring, the half and off season, and then, missing so many guys back and forth during fall camp. The preparation for the season was so uneven that, it feels like in the last few weeks, we've finally been able to have a little bit of consistency and get into a little bit of a rhythm and been able to have, a larger percentage of our team available just to practice and to get better. And that's been huge, because now you're starting to see progress on both sides of the ball by young players that, maybe would have had a chance to compete and play earlier, had they not missed all that time. And so, I think you saw that the other day on the defensive side of the ball. We played quite a few more players. And I think, those guys are going to continue to push for more and more playing time, which has been a big positive. I think you're seeing it some with the offensive line. You're seeing it some with the receivers right now. Certainly the backs. So, we've kind of had that young group, really that's the hand that we've been dealt. But I think there's examples of it all over this football team. And I think it also makes a big difference on special teams, as we saw last week as well. So the team is growing. There's a lot of players getting better quickly. The competition, I would say, it's like right now the competition is kind of where you hoped it would have been in fall camp, because you've actually had some consistency and you've actually been able to work out multiple guys. And that, so I like where the competition's at right now. I like the vibe of this team. They're really, really excited to play, evidenced by the way we prepped during the bye week. So, yeah, I think a lot of young guys stepping up, and I think, there's going to be a lot of opportunities for many guys that maybe didn't have a huge role in the first half of the season to really come on for us and make a difference.
Thanks, Lincoln.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go to Garen Emig of the Tulsa World, and then Dean Blevins.
Lincoln, we've hit a bit of a rough patch with regard to head coaches testing positive with the virus around the country. I'm curious, you have a comparatively young staff, I realize, and yet the demographic makes this a pretty potentially serious issue, even compared to your players. What steps outside the norm are you guys as a staff taking to protect yourselves this season?
Honestly, Garen, wear a mask. We wear a mask everywhere. We wear a mask in staff meetings. We wear a mask in our office. We wear a mask everywhere. Our families, I think, I really want to commend our families, all the families of the staff, because I think that's where a lot of it comes down to, I think we can control pretty well what we're doing within this building. But our families, wives, kids, they've done a tremendous job of, they've had to make sacrifices as well, whether it's, children wearing masks in school or, family kind of following the same type protocols that we are. And so I really give a lot of credit to our families there, because I think, our coaches so far, knock on wood, being able to stay, unscathed from this has been in large part due to how committed our families have been to this. And then I think, we don't do anything. Which is not a hell of a lot different than any season, but I'm either here or I'm at my house. And there's no in between. There's no anything else. And, so that's the sacrifice we make, and happy to make it, and glad that, hope we can continue it. Obviously, this thing is so, you just never know with this deal. And so, just thankful we've been able to do pretty well with it so far. And again, very thankful for the commitment that all the staff's families have made to helping us stay COVID free.
Sure. Real quick, have you identified a point man if you had to miss a game for some reason on your staff?
Yeah, we have contingencies in place for any. The hard thing is it may be you and it may be two others. So we've got quite a few contingencies dialed up and ready to go.
Okay, thanks.
Dean Blevins, KWTV, and then Keegan Renault.
Yeah, Lincoln, I'm wondering how you're feeling about the evolution of Spencer coming through the season. He shows week after week he can make throws that very few quarterbacks can make. Yet at the end of that game the other day, he was kind of sloppy with that ball. You got back on it. It could have been a losing play. Just all in all, including the ball protection and limiting turnovers, how are you feeling about his evolution?
I'm excited about it. I mean, I think he's been put in such a unique situation, and I think he's handling a large part of it well. And the things that he hasn't done well, he's been very eager and willing to improve and puts forth the work to improve, and has shown me no signs that that any of this is beyond him as far as doing the things that we need him to do better. And so, no, I'm excited about it. It took a lot of guts to do what he did the other day in your first ball game, in your first OU Texas game, and I think that showed a lot of his evolution and progress right there. I mean, I would just watch the overtime periods, and that to me is the answer. Yeah, I mean, he's obviously he's got to hang on to the ball for us, and that's a fine line, because when you're also a team's primary playmaker, you've also got to make some plays too, and you can't make plays playing scared. And so, but there are certainly controllable ones that's with the ball security that he needs to improve on, and he knows that, and I feel very confident that he will.
Keegan Renault with Sooners Wire, and then Kerry Murdoch.
Lincoln, I hope I'm not jinxing this. Haven't had to ask you this much this year, but you guys did have a couple guys go down in the Texas game, and Braden Willis hasn't been playing much. Just an injury update. Isaiah Thomas, Jeremiah Hall, I believe, went down. Braden Willis, and Seth McGowan as well, who missed the Texas game.
Yeah, we had a couple guys nicked up in the Texas game, but I don't think anything too serious. Bye week, I think, came at a good time for those guys. Yeah, Braden got a little nicked up against Kansas State. Hadn't had him since then. I would say he's week to week right now.
Thanks, Lincoln.
Mm-hmm.
Kerry Murdoch with Sooner Scoop and WWLS, and then Joey Helmer.
Lincoln, you have a history on offense of explosive plays, drives, 1.5 minute drives, 3 plays, things like that. You've had some of that this year, but I'm curious, if your offense is going like you want, are you seeing more of that than you're seeing now? Are you seeing more drives that are, 12 plays, 7 minutes, if you're feeling better about your offense?
I mean, I think when you're running at a high level, you have the ability to do both. Having the ability to strike quick, but also kind of like we talked about earlier, there are opportunities in games where you can really increase your chances by winning by hanging on to the ball and being able to control the clock. And I think when we've been at our best here, we have been able to do both. And that's for us, I think offensively we're battling that consistency right now. Like you said, we've had some games where we've had some really explosive big plays, and we've had some games where we didn't have nearly enough of them. We've had some games where we've been able to chew it and control it. Some games where we haven't. And then in some games we've been able to do it at some points and not at others. So we're, right now we're promising. I think we're growing. We're getting better. We're not the X factor for us here the rest of the season from an offensive perspective will be, how consistent can we get? So that's just a battle. There's no easy answer for that. It's just a battle and a grind to continue to get guys to improve, and hopefully we can get a couple of familiar faces back along the way, which always will help. And but I think we've got an opportunity to. I'm excited about some of the work we've put in and some of the signs I'm seeing that I think we could be back to being closer to what we expect to be.
How much easier is it to control that consistency when you have Spencer that has a better connection with his receivers, like he's getting with Stogner, like we're seeing with Theo Weiss, like he's had with Marvin Mims so far?
Yeah, it's just growing. I mean, it's again, this is so difficult to compare this to because the lead up to this has been, just so unlike anything that we've ever dealt with. And then, again, on top of the pandemic, all that, I mean, we've missed a lot of players that we, figured that we would be playing with. And a lot of those guys were guys that have played a lot of ball for us and are really good football players. And so we've had to battle through that. And, and so I think a lot of the things are progressing. Like, I don't see anything that's unfixable. I don't see anything that says we can't do it. It's just, you see kind of the top of the mountain and you're just climbing your ass off as fast as you can to get there. And that's what we're doing right now. And it's there. I know what this group is going to be. But we want to get there quicker. We're pushing like crazy, coaches and players, to get to our best level of ball as fast as we can.
Thanks, Lincoln.
Joey Helmer with OU Insider, and then Parker Thune.
Yeah, Lincoln, Woody Washington's a guy that made some nice plays in the Red River game. Just kind of what have you seen in the evolution and the growth of his game?
Yeah, Woody's done a great job. He's played about every position in the secondary here in a short time, so I think he's got a really good overall understanding of what we want in the secondary. He's played safety, he's played nickel, and now making the move and playing corner. We've been very pleased with how he's progressed in the corner room. He's really done a good job understanding the defense. His fundamentals, I think have been really, really impressive for a guy that hasn't had to play the position in a long time. He's got nice size, excellent ball skills, as you saw both kind of be a factor there on that play in the end zone against Texas. And he's a really good tackler. I mean, I thought there were several times in the open field against Texas where he was extremely patient and made just really solid, good open field tackles, which, your corners have to be able to do that for you. And so now I think he's got a lot of promise. I mean, I think he's certainly found a home at corner, and, his kind of evolution, his progression has been very, very key for us and will continue to be.
And last question of the day, Parker Thune with SI Sooners.
Yeah, Coach Riley, I'm curious. Back in the Texas game, we saw Mikey Henderson play some snaps in pretty crucial situations throughout the game. Was that more just due to Braden Willis's absence, or is that a testament to Mikey's development and progression in the offense?
I would say a combination of both. Mikey is a very, very talented young player that I think is really progressing and learning a lot, and he's got a skill set that certainly commands some attention. He's a good blocker, and he's gifted with the ball, and so he's getting better and better. And certainly Braden's absence has opened the door for some more opportunities for him, not only in games but on the practice field, to develop those skills enough where we want to continue to play him. So he's an exciting young player. He's playing a position that's not an easy position for a young guy, just because, kind of like we referenced earlier with Jeremiah, that position requires a lot mentally and physically, and he's done a nice job, trying to cram all that in, and he's certainly got a bright future here.
Thanks, Coach.